This is the richest man in Japan and the 31st richest man on the entire planet. He's worth $42.8 billion. And today he made, what is 100 billion, 800 million times 3? Sounds like I'm making these numbers up. Today he made $1.5 billion. Now, interestingly, this is what it looks like to look through a $40 lightweight sweater from Mr. Yanai's company. And this is what it looks like to look through a 10 times more expensive sweater that is also lightweight. The difference is very obvious if I show it to you right away. But if I don't show it to you and one of these shirts is worth $40 and the other is worth $350, which one is worth which? I tricked you. I paid $40 for both of them. They are the exact same quality. Mr. Yanai is the founder of what many believe to be the greatest clothing brand on planet Earth. The perfect balance between quality and affordability. His leadership style is said to be that of a dictator's, and when he first inherited his father's clothing business, every single employee in the company except one walked out. Congrats to that guy, by the way. He probably also made $1 billion today. Mr. Yanai wants complete control over every facet of his business, how things are folded, how the credit card is handed back to the customer, what people say to customers, but apparently it works because his brand has one of the strongest cult followings that I have ever seen in my entire life. So naturally, I wanted to get into the ring and see what the heck is going on with this brand and how it actually works, and if it even makes quality stuff or if it doesn't. Also, I totally forgot to say that I was kidding. One of these shirts is $40, the other is $350. They are very different. Japan is now kind of the leading word for quality. If you get a Japanese sweater, Japanese jeans, t-shirt, yarns from Japan, whatever it may be, it's considered to be the best of the best of the best. But what happens if a Japanese company, instead of doing everything in-house in Japan, says let's take that same level of quality and obsession for detail and do everything overseas so we can make things much cheaper? What do you get? Also, I just want to nip this in the bud. Not sponsored by Uniqlo, never spoke with Uniqlo before in my life. This is certainly not a Uniqlo fluff piece, as will be shown later. It's just a fascinating, it's just nature. You can lick that. This video will be split into 4 parts. The good is Uniqlo just cheap, fast fashion and marketing. The bad and the ugly. We'll also be comparing similarly styled garments from radically different price points for better understanding. Thank you for your viewership. Sup nerds, it's Michael. It's really terrific to see you, especially back out in the great wilderness. I'm covered in so much bug spray that my skin squeaks when I move my arms, which is kind of weird. But we're starting off with cotton, the good. Also, look at the size of this deer I saw while walking through the woods. On one end, we have Uniqlo with their Uniqlo I T-shirt that goes for $20 and their sweater that goes for $40. On the other end, we have the standard and Strange Wakayama T-shirt that goes for $95, which, by the way, thank you to Standard and Strange. They basically let me walk into their store and rob them blind. I had guns, so that made it easier. They just said, whatever you want for a video, whenever you want it, go into the store, take it, and then give it back when you're done. And I said, okay, sounds good, so thank you guys. We have their Wakayama T-shirt that goes for $95. And then we have a Real McCoy's loop wheel sweater that goes for $180, 200 and something dollars. We're looking at something that is made in Japan with the utmost highest degree of care, and something that is designed in Japan and then sent somewhere else that can be made cheaper. What is the difference here? What do you see? The t-shirt, it's rough, which is funny to say about cotton. It's not that rough, but you notice it. And the knit is very, very tight, which contributes to that a lot. But do I think it will last you a very, 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 very long time? Yes. Same with the sweater, which is softer. It's medium weight. The t-shirt is heavyweight. It's good quality for $40. It's kind of silky feeling. I think it's coated with something. I'm not positive. Also will last you a long time. Obviously though, if you compare Uniqlo, I wasn't sure if it was called Uniqlo or Uniqlo, so I figured I would just sneakily call it both. Here are the differences. This applies to both the loop wheel t-shirt and sweater. They're extra bouncy and springy by quite a bit. They're softer but heavier. The cotton has a lot more character. The Real McCoy sweater has a bound neck with ribbing cut along the bias. Really, what you're feeling is, one, the loop wheel stuff is knit a lot slower and not under a ton of tension, so the actual knit is flowy and soft and not just holding on for dear life. And the cotton that they use is also longer stable, so it's stronger. It won't pill as much. It will have a little bit more of a shine to it, which, great example coming up. And then finally, a big thing with cotton in general when you're making a knit garment or denim or whatever it may be is the way it's finished. What is the process that the woven or knit fabric goes through after it's woven or knit? Is it treated with chemicals? Is it pressed? Is it spit on? Is it licked? You can get real freaky with finishing. So in summary, with knit cotton stuff, Uniqlo does very, very well. I would say better than what most brands are doing at that exact price point. Uniqlo clearly has a lot of value right there. Interestingly though, when we look at wovens, you'll notice differences pretty much right away. These are Uniqlo used giant fit, wide fit chinos. I forget what they're called, but they're the biggest pants I've ever seen. But when you look at the actual fabric, first off, you'll notice that it's a very, very defined twill. Look closer and compare it to the black sign chinos, and you'll see a whole world of difference and feel, and that's why I'm wearing these. I love these. These black sign chinos are actually a perfect example of the luster you can get with a longer staple, higher quality cotton. They actually have a little bit of shine to them in the sun. Nothing you'd be like, oh my God, is that guy wearing glitter? It's just such a nicer cotton that you notice it right away, and it makes the Uniqlo chino look very dry, like cardboard or like a paper bag versus something that's closer to silk. The luster is because you have more light to bounce off of a single fiber when it's all twisted together. You also have more strength. It's also softer and silky smooth. It does feel like bug spray right now, but when I wash it, it will feel different. But denim, interestingly enough... Oh, sorry, didn't see you there. This video is sponsored by Manscaped. This is the coolest shaver I've ever seen. It came with my Performance Package 5.0, which has this Weed Whacker 2.0, a toiletry bag, the Lawnmower 5.0, aka the shaver, and other stuff that's right here that I don't want my mom to hear me talk about. Anyway, the lawnmower. Your lawnmower. First off, it has wireless charging. Second off, dual-toned LEDs for pleasing skin tones. See? Wow. Fourth off, not only is it water resistant, but it also comes with a skin-safe trimmer blade and a foil trimmer as well. How easy is that? The trimmer blade gets the longies, foil blade gets the shorties. And on top of all of that, you also get a pair of free undies that I'm going to use to dry my table off. Thank you Manscaped for sponsoring this video. You can use my code IRONSNAIL to save 20% off your first order and get free international shipping and a free gift for your jewels. Denim is kind of the end-all be-all here. I'll be honest with you, I don't like the pants that I'm showing you. I also, for some reason, I must have been drunk or something. I bought a size 34. I wear like a size 29, 30, which is odd. I don't know why I did that. That being said, they did just release a non-stretch, regular fit selvage denim for like 50 bucks. I guarantee anybody that's not a denim nerd, you give them those jeans, they will say those are the best jeans that they've ever held in their lives. Picture this, it's Christmas time, a young couple is sitting around a tree. A girlfriend gives her boyfriend a pair of Uniqlo selvage denim jeans, and he says, wow, thanks babe, you knew I wanted to get into selvage denim. These are the nicest jeans I've ever seen. Boom! I kick in the door and I'm like, the nicest jeans you've ever seen. What about these? These are Mr. Freedom X Sugarcane California lot number 54 re-edition with new old stock Cone Mills unsanforized denim. And then I'm standing there and I say, ho, 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 and I leave him the jeans and I leave. And they say, wow, I love the denim community. Anytime Uniqlo denim comes up, especially their selvage denim, everybody's amazed, including me, at the quality of it. But in reality, this is part of the reason they're so good at doing cotton products, and that is because cotton as a raw material, very, very, very cheap, because it's literally everywhere. So that gives Uniqlo a lot of leeway to make things a little heavier, to make things higher quality, because they can still keep the price of the garment low because of what they're using. Then what's the difference between these and Mr. Freedom? Virtually everything. First off, interestingly, all of the threads on Mr. Freedom are cotton, and there's 12 different thread thicknesses and types used throughout, both for style, function, things like that. This uses new old stock Cone Mills denim, which is one of the most famous denim mills that ever existed. This is the denim that people around the world study. It's what Levi's used. They had a golden handshake. Beautifully aged hardware, copper hardware, nicer pocket bags. The denim is nicer. It's unsanforized, so it shrinks when you put it in the water for the first time. You get the experience with it. It's, you know, it's an artisan denim. It will last you a long time, but so will Uniqlo, but obviously two different beasts entirely. This is Uniqlo's ripoff of a Barbour Spey jacket, which is, this is what I saw on Uniqlo that made me want to do this video, because I was like, how on earth did they make that? It feels nothing like Barbour, obviously. It's also not wax. I think it's DWR coated. Not that good a quality, pretty thin, but does have a good look to it. And that's really the end of the good. There is some not bad, but now we're going to get to that spot. 2. Is Uniqlo fast fashion just like Temu and Shein? Part of the frustration we have in marketing is that Mr. Yanai wanted to say, I'm going to build a company that moves very quickly and is being innovative, said John C.J., Fast Retailing's president of Global Creative. So we called it Fast Retailing. But the press look at that and go, aha, so you are fast fashion. But we are not. So the first step I will tell people is, it's not fast fashion because we will never make disposable clothing. By definition, Uniqlo is not doing fast fashion at all, because what we accept as fast fashion is literally mind-bendingly fast. There is no consideration that goes into the materials. Just base fabrics are dyed to look a certain way, and they're incredibly cheap, and they're shipped out the door. A big company calls a manufacturer and says, I need 500,000 of these by next week shipped to me, and all of a sudden everybody's ripping through garments with no care for quality or anything along those lines. That is not what Uniqlo is doing. They are designing their own fabrics for specific ways, for specific looks that have intended purposes. They're workshopping fits. And what I really find cool is the way Uniqlo talks to their manufacturers, which is, I think, what makes them so special. They have their own little baby manufacturing facilities where they test garments, fabrics, tear strains, are there cold pockets in this jacket, whatever it may be. They make the garments and design them in-house. And then they find a manufacturer that has the exact same machines, technologies, and whatever that their baby manufacturer has. And they say, hey, do this, copy us exactly. Here is everything you need to do it that way into our standards. I will say, no, that is not unique to Uniqlo at all. A lot of companies do that. And also, you will see a general increase in quality when you're not asking a manufacturer to turn around something in 5 days.
3. The bad.
Maybe we scratch the word bad because of
3. The
$40 merino wool sweater, $100 cashmere sweater. Those are insane prices. That we will get into that when we get to the ugly. But either way, can you guess which sweater is which? Which one is like $400, $500? Which one is $40? If you guessed the little tiny gray sweater is the fancy one, you would be correct. That is a Max Mara sweater that Taylor thrifted for like $5. When we're looking at Uniqlo, wool is where we start to see the cracks because it's a more expensive raw material. Both Max Mara and Uniqlo use very, very fine yarns, but Uniqlo just has them very far apart. It's not a tense knit at all. It's very, very loose. And you probably think I'm going to say also the Max Mara sweater is so much softer than Uniqlo. It's so much nicer in that regard. It is actually not. It might be similar, maybe a little coarser, but it definitely feels crisp when Uniqlo feels like they're going for soft and a little silky, and that's because of superwashing. I don't want to say I hate superwashing because there's some cool stuff about it and you can do it in a better way than other brands do, but superwashing is essentially saying, hey, how can we make this natural wool fiber as close to polyester as possible? And essentially what you do when you superwash something is wool has a bunch of little barbs, a bunch of little hooks. That's why if you wash it in a washing machine, it felts, it sticks together. You can feel when you pull apart a felted sweater or something like that. Superwashing it removes those, typically through chlorine gas. There's also chlorine solution that you can use, which is not the gas, which is apparently way safer for the workers. And they burn the barbs of the wool off. And then a lot of brands and yarn makers then coat the fiber in a very thin polymer that never comes off. And it does a lot of things that you might like for your wool sweater, but secretly, there's a lot of things that kind of suck that it does to your sweater. What does it do that you'd like? It makes your wool garments machine washable. They're softer. They can be dyed brighter, more vibrant colors. Some say they're a bit more durable. But Michael, I like all those things. Those sound great for a sweater. What could possibly be bad about it? The knit can lose a lot of its bounce and not return to the same shape. It absorbs water a lot faster. You lose some of the temperature regulating properties of wool, and it's also terrible for the environment. And it's a mix of the polyester properties and wool, which I guess is good, and you're using less synthetic materials overall, so that's good. You could plasma treat wool, which does not use chlorine gas and I don't think coats the wool in plastic, and it electrifies the wool and removes the barbs. That's very cool. That's new and emerging. So there are a lot of benefits to superwashing, but there are things that you lose, which I don't like. I'd rather have it 100% natural. If it's gonna felt and I have to hand wash it, so be it.
3.5. Uniqlo's quality lies within its construction. Materials are up for debate.
Remember before when I tricked you and I said the shirts were the same price and they weren't the same price? They were very different. These are the two shirts, one of them from Uniqlo, the other from a brand called 1111, obviously taken from Standard and Strange by gunpoint. Great shirt. I love this shirt. That's what I said as I was robbing them blind. This is where my big epiphany with Uniqlo was. I found a wool jacket that I really loved at Uniqlo and I was like, this is actually incredible. Found the same thing with a sweater. It's like, this is phenomenal.
I meant to say a jacket that felt like wool but was polyester. Sweater too.
And at that moment, everything that needed to come together came together, and I realized, oh, this is what's happening. Uniqlo, like I said, has absolutely fantastic quality control. All of the garments that I've ever touched from them have been spot on. The construction is great, but they are at the mercy of the raw goods that they are using to get things as low priced as possible. And when you look at their synthetic line, their synthetic wool jackets, their polyester jackets, that is, to me, top tier. I don't know why I would ever recommend you get a different polyester wool imitation jacket. It's not as good as real wool at all. That's not what I'm saying, but if that's what you're looking for, Don't go anywhere else. Uniqlo really researches their products and they make sure they're built to a certain level of quality, and that's great. But when you want to start to implement natural materials, which are much more expensive than synthetic materials, all of a sudden the construction is still there, but the quality of the fabric starts to degrade pretty fast. Uniqlo works very hard to make very high quality garments out of the materials that will hit a certain price point, and those materials sometimes have a lot of drawbacks or have to be lower quality to make the garment that is built well from a sewing and design perspective possible. Anyways, the true ugly. It's probably quite obvious, but Uniqlo is a giant brand that's always trying to get as much profit as they can and make stuff as cheap as they can, and they've been accused many times of using forced labor from where they get their raw materials to where their clothing is made. And in 2021, US Customs seized a delivery of their t-shirts suspecting that they're using forced labor, so, you know, it comes up a lot. They're obviously not the only company being accused of things like this, but they are a company being accused of things like that.
Although from what I read online, Uniqlo is a start. They're a step up from very low tier brands, and they're trying to be more transparent.
But that's how I think Uniqlo works. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next 2 weeks, hopefully in the next 2 weeks, with a clothing item that I can't wait to show you. Okay, bye-bye.